what our mayor and city council is doing is, since we don't have zoning and most people don't want zoning, and we have managed to do quite well without it in the city limits, what they are doing is coming up with ordinances that are de facto zoning, and explain one of those backdoor zoning.
Well, what you're basically doing is taking the sort of the ordinance approach so far that it creates a zoning kind of situation. And so you think about...
Because of traffic or because of...
Oh, yeah, I mean, this whole traffic thing is just a bunch of baloney. I mean,
right.
You think about what generates traffic. I mean, some of the approaches here would basically say you can't build a multi-unit development that anyone, including low-income or high-income people, might live in, yet you can build a hotel. You can build a supercenter. You can build anything just about except for this. So, I mean, there are so many, and I'm not a lawyer.
And what happens then when the city starts dictating, and we've seen this in other cities, when the city starts dictating where you can build as opposed to the market dictating, that's when prices go up or projects do not work.
Well, that's right. Prices go up, but beyond that, projects don't happen.
Projects don't happen.
Houston has an incredible record of building large multi-unit developments. They are all over the city. You're not permitted to build what you build in Houston in most of the cities in the United States, except in very small areas that don't fit the market, and so developers don't build them. So, for example...
Wendell, I'm just about out of time. Why don't you kind of give us close here?
Well, all I'm saying is that you all here in Houston have a real wonderful situation. It is a livable place, and it is growing. And
housing costs are low compared to the rest of the country.
Housing costs are low.
Almost any major, in fact, not just any major city in the world.
Well, it's very low, and the point is, whatever you do that forces prices higher in the city of Houston is going to cause more people to move to Montgomery County, to move to Fort Bend County, et cetera, et cetera. One of the reasons why things work so well in Houston is because the market is allowed to operate.
All right. Hey, Wendell, thank you. Wendell
Thank you.
Cox, who's a demographer in St. Louis, and folks, there's, again, and there are a lot of things that Mayor Bill White does that I think have been good. Of course, after Lee Brown, like I said, a troop of Cub Scouts could have turned the city around. But the mayor has done some good things. But we must not forget who Mayor Bill White is, and he's really a liberal Democrat who I don't believe is pro-business. And many of the issues that he stands behind, I think, are a detriment to our future growth. I'm going to tell you something when we come back that the mayor has already done. And it's shocking. It is shocking. I went to a civic meeting last night in the Heights, and you will be shocked at what this city is doing. And actually, some of you listening may be affected and you don't even know it yet. We'll tell you when we come back on the Voice of Texas.
Patrick is taking your calls now at 281-558-5738. That's 281-558-KSEV. Or free at pound KSEV on your Verizon Wireless.
Back with you on the Voice of Texas. I'm still kind of laughing about that commercial where Mr. Dale Curl says, I voted for Dan Patrick. As if he was really behind me. That's why he didn't show up and vote at all in the primary. I have to start checking these ads. Hey, let me tell you what the mayor's doing that will shock you. And I hope this doesn't impact you, but it may, because our listening audience is pretty big. And it's hard to explain it without seeing the map, but picture it, if you will, where the bayous flow through the city of Houston. We used to have the floodway restricted in the maps to basically where the bayous and a few feet on each side. That was the floodway, where you couldn't build. And then you have the floodplain, where you can build. Okay, so you had the narrow floodway, and you had the larger floodplain, 100-year floodplain. The city has gone in and expanded the floodway that now encompasses a minimum of 10,000 properties. And the group that is in the Heights that has really been hit hard by this is doing a lot of research. They believe it's many, many more properties than that. But if you are now in the floodway, And that would mean if you live anywhere near a bayou, you could be, I mean, even 1,100 homes in the Memorial area are in it, for example. Lots of homes in the Heights. Lots of homes on the Brays by various bayous. This floodway has been so expanded for commercial and real property that your property has no value. Spoke to a gentleman last night who had his appraisal cut 94% because his home has no value. I had another person I met with last night that just built a $400,000 home in the Heights. It's now valued at $42,000. And you're saying why? Because in the floodway, you can no longer build according to the city of Houston. If you live in the floodway and your home burns down, you are not allowed to rebuild. You cannot build. You cannot remodel anything significantly in the floodway. Now, why would the city do this? I mean, I want you to think about where you live right now, and most of you don't live in the floodway. But I want you to think about this, that wherever you live right now, whether you live in Greatwood or Kingwood or Katy or Tomball or wherever it is, can you imagine tomorrow if the government just passed an ordinance and your home was worth nothing? And it seems, as women and men told me yesterday at this meeting last night that I attended, they didn't think the government would ever do that to them. And the government, it's not paying them any money. So why would they do that? The mayor says because he wants to reduce flooding. Well, these homes in the floodway have never flooded. And in some areas, one street here, one street there is in the floodway or not. But I'm talking about 10,000 homes and combined homes and commercial property. Could be thousands more. They're doing the research. I mean, it is stunning. And the people say they have attended. I'm trying to get an appointment with the mayor to talk about this. That they've attended meetings with the mayor, and the mayor's kind of looked at them and said, too bad. Tough. That's the way it is, in his own way of saying. No response. And who's really hurt by this are a lot of senior citizens who live along the bayou, Heights going towards downtown, up Veterans Memorial, up in that area along the bayou. A lot of elderly people who have lived in their homes for their whole lives. It's the only thing they have, and now they're worthless. I mean, they can't sell them. Can't sell them. And it's just stunning to me that the city would do this. And FEMA can't do anything about it because FEMA only pays for homes that are flooded. And commercial property, I talked to one gentleman last night that has a piece of commercial property off of Shepherd and I-10. It's worth about $3 million. His family's owned it since 1946. Can't sell it. I mean, no one's going to buy it because it's in the floodway. Because then they can't sell it. They'd never be able to sell it for their, the value. I mean, he might be able to sell it for 10 cents on the dollar. It's unbelievable. This, and the mayor, we had to fight this up in the session this past session. The mayor had this bill where he wanted to control the air outside of the city of Houston. Start, penalizing counties and cities outside of Houston if they were doing something that made the Houston air. I mean, I don't know what the mayor's trying to achieve, but I don't want us to be another California. And here's a person, again, on a personal level, I like the mayor, and he's done some good things, but his ideology is nowhere near the pro-growth conservative mindset of Houston. Now, here's a question. Does he just want to devalue the land? It's kind of like reversal foreclosure or reversal condemnation. Does he just want to, so the city can come over and take the land? Maybe he only wants parts of it. But it's unbelievable. So I know you're saying, well, Dan, how can I check out if I'm in the floodway? If you're not along a bayou, you're probably okay. But if you are, like I was up on 18th and 19th Street, far off the bayou last night. That's all that property's in the floodway. Just amazing. It's more than amazing. Shocking.